welcome back to my channel English with Aleena. In today's video, we are going to discuss the question and answers. As you can see the title of the video, this is part 2. Please like, share and subscribe. Please comment and let me know what other topics you want me to make a video on. Now without wasting much time, let's get into the video. Now let's discuss the questions from understanding the texts. The people in this story suddenly realize how precious their language is to them. What shows you this and why does this happen? Answer. M. Hamill told the students and villagers that henceforth only German would be taught in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. Those who called themselves Frenchmen would be neither be able to speak or write it. He praised French language as the most beautiful, the clearest, and the most logical language in the world. He said that enslaved people, their language was the key to their prison. Then the people realized how precious their language was to them. This shows people's love for their own culture, traditions, and country. Pride in one's language reflects the pride in motherland. In the Franco-Prussian War (1870–71), France was defeated by Prussia led by Bismarck. In this story, the French districts of Alsace and Lorraine had been passed into the Prussian hands. There were an order from Berlin that German would be taught in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. The French master M. Hamel announced it was their last French lesson and he was leaving. These words came as a peal of thunder. France and others felt sorry for not learning their lessons in French. His books like French grammar and history of the saints, which seemed a nuisance a short while ago, looked like old friends now that he could not give up. The old men of the villagers were sitting there in the back of the room had felt sorry about it. The people realized that they must protect the French language, the most beautiful language of the world, the most clearest and the most logical. The feeling that they were deprived of learning French made them suddenly realize that how precious their language was to them. Second, France thinks will they make them sing in German even the pigeons? What could this mean? This comment of France shows a Frenchman's typical reaction to the impositions of learning German, the language of the conquerors being deprived of learning the mother language would mean cutting all the bonds with the motherland. Teaching the Persians to sing in the German indicates how far the Germans would go in their attempts of linguistic chauvinism. The order from Berlin that only German language would be taught in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine in France had served a reaction from people, though that they could not express their grudge openly, yet even little boy Franz felt, will they make them sing in German, even the pigeons? When they were having lessons in writing, there was a pin drop silence. Once some beetles flew in, but nobody paid attention to them, not even the little ones who worked right on tracing the fishhooks, as if that was a French too. Then on the roof, the pigeons squealed very low, and little Franz thought that they would make them sing in German, even the pigeons. It shows that the human beings should be forced to learn a language which is not their own language, yet the birds are free from such pressures. They could not be forced to sing in a particular way. That way, birds are more free than helpless humans. Now let's move on to the talking about the text. Question number one: when are people enslaved? As long as they hold fast to their language, there it is as if they had a key to the prison. What can you think the examples in the history where a conquered people had their language taken away them or had language imposed on them? Mother tongue helps a person to express his feelings and thoughts most lucidly and intimately. Conquerors try to subdue and control the people of the enslaved territory by enforcing many measures such as use of force to crush dissent and imposing their own language on them. From time immemorial, the victorious nations have imposed their own language on the conquered people and taken their own language away from them. The Roman conquered many parts of Europe and replaced the local language by their own language, Latin. Later on, Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, and French developed from Latin. The Muslim invaders imposed Arabic and Persian in the countries of Asia overpowered by them. In many Arab countries, the local religion and the language have disappeared in India. A new language, Urdu, is developed from the mixture of Persian and Hindi. When the people of a particular country or a place or of a country are forced to be under a foreign rule, they are deprived from the freedom they can enjoy. Otherwise, if the language of the conquerors is imposed on them or they are forced not to learn their own language, they feel enslaved or as if they had the key to their prison. There are various examples in the history where the conquered people has their language taken away from them or had a language imposed on them. For instance, India was under a British rule and its states like Pondicherry and Goa were under a French and Portugal rule. Consequently, English, French, and Portuguese were imposed on the people. British rulers felt that if the education system was changed to produce clerks in India who would be able to write and speak English, it would be easy to manage day by day affairs. Even after so many years freedom from British rule, English is still a linked language that explains a widespread use of English in the countries like Australia and Canada and some African countries like South Africa. What happened to a linguistic minority in a state? How do you think they can keep their language alive? For example, Punjabis in Bangalore, Tamilians in Mumbai, Kannadigas in Delhi, and Gujaratis in Kolkata. What happened to a linguistic minority? The linguistic minority in any state is easily marked and faces the same discrimination as religious, social, or ethnic minorities. There is, however, a pronounced difference in the treatment meted out and the level of acceptance displayed by the majority community in that region or city. Some cities like Delhi and Mumbai are cosmopolitan in outlook. The linguistic minority tries to preserve its identity through an intimate contact, interaction, and preservation of their own language in social get-togethers, family functions, and festival of their own region. Adherence to social customs and traditions and family gatherings and group meetings of women also promotes the unity between members of the linguistic minority. In short, they create a mini Punjab in Bangalore, mini Chennai in Mumbai, mini Bangalore in Delhi, and mini Surat in Kolkata. India is a vast country with so many languages spoken. In some states, more than one vernacular language is spoken. Each and every individual in a free country has a fundamental right to speak or writes one language or mother tongue. But the problem arises when there is a linguistic minority in a state of a country, when the people of a particular country live in other countries. In such cases, the major problem is how people can keep their language alive. For example, how Punjabis living in Bangalore or Tamilians living in Mumbai or Karnatakas living in Delhi or Gujaratis living in Kolkata can keep their mother tongue alive. They can do so by teaching their children the mother tongue, or at least speaking to their children in their mother tongue as far as possible. The linguistic minority in any state is easily marked and faces the same discrimination as religious, social, or ethnic minorities. There is, however, a pronounced difference in the treatment meted out and the level of acceptance displayed by the majority community in that region or city. Some cities like Delhi and Mumbai are cosmopolitan in outlook. The linguistic minority tries to preserve its identity through an intimate contact, interaction, and preservation of their own language in social get togethers, family functions, and festival of their own region. Adherence to social customs and traditions in family gatherings and group meetings of women also promote. Is it possible to carry a pride in one language too far? You know what linguistic chauvinism means? Linguistic chauvinism means an aggressive and unreasonable belief that your own language is better than all others. This shows an aggressive or prejudiced support for one's own language. Sometimes pride in one's own language goes too far, and the linguistic enthusiast can be easily identified by their extreme zeal for the preservation and the spread of their own language. In their enthusiasm, love, and support for their own language, they tend to forget that the other language have too their own merits, long history of art, culture, and literature behind them. Instead of bringing unity and winning over others as friend, having excessive pride in one's own language creates ill will and designation. The stiff resistance to the acceptance of Hindi as national language by Hindi enthusiasts, the result is that One India remains only a slogan. One is deeply attached with one's mother tongue as the once is attached with one's mother. But it is not possible in this global world to confine oneself to his or her mother tongue only. So it is not possible to carry one pride language too far. Chauvinism and aggressive and unreasonable belief that your own country or your own language is better than all others. So, linguistic chauvinism means that one's own language is better than all others. One mother tongue is usually mostly spoken in our area or region, as we can't communicate with the people of if we don't know others language in addition to your own mother tongue. Under British rule, a large number of Indians had to learn how to write and speak in English. Our knowledge to English opened the doors to know many modern concepts and which has was not possible otherwise. In the present time, there are many BPOs or call centers in India than in countries like China or Russia who confine to Chinese and Russians. Not only in the most parts of the world, the knowledge of English has been beneficial for Indians to communicate outside as well as their own country. Thus, in the present times, it is not possible to carry pride's one language too far. Is it possible to carry a pride in one language too far? So that's all for today. Please tell me in the comments what other topics you guys want me to cover. And I'm sorry because as the video was so long to be uploaded, so this is part 2 of the video, and you will be getting important extra question and answers. That is part 3. So stay tuned for the part 3 coming on Thursday. And sorry for this much delays in the video. If you like my video, please like, share, and subscribe.